For week 37. We will kick off with our warm-up questions. As you can probably see, they're a little bit different from usual. Normally we would be looking at an array of topics and skills across the 5 questions, but for this new term we've decided each week we're going to just focus on one particular skill or area to look at and to get you to practice and develop that skill just a little bit more. So have a quick flick through these sentences, have a look through, try and work out the context, and then decide which word you would use to fill the gap. So which spelling has the correct meaning to fit in with that sentence. So if you want to pause the video at this stage, please do. Take a few moments just to have a little look at that for me. Okay, and now we're going to go through the answers. So the first sentence, I think you're going to need to revise. The correct spelling is this one with the apostrophe. So the apostrophe shows that in fact we've contracted, we've squished 2 words together, meaning you are. So I think you are going to need to revise. Whereas the other version, the Y-O-U-R version, that means it belongs to you. So it doesn't quite fit in with the rest of the sentence, does it? So let's have a look at number 2. You are going to bring a pen to the speaking and listening exams. In this case, we want the first spelling, the A-R-E version. The O-U-R version, again, doesn't quite fit in because that means it belongs to us as a group of us. Doesn't quite work with the context of the sentence. Let's look at number 3. So, did you enjoy the break at Easter? The correct spelling is, in fact, the second one. That means sort of a break to stop or pause what you are doing. So in this case, to stop what you are doing at college, to have a break, to have a holiday, have a rest. Whereas this version, the AKE version, that's more like a break as in part of a vehicle, so a bike or a car, to slow it down and stop it from moving. So slightly different meanings there. Number 4, I don't know if you've printed your notes yet. We want the second spelling because that comes from the root word knowledge. So if I have knowledge of something, I know about it. And if I don't have knowledge, I don't know about it. Whereas NO is sort of the opposite of yes, and it doesn't quite fit into this sentence either. Last but not least then, this one is a bit more tricky. There is a slight difference between accept and accept though. In this situation, we want accept, as in I accept, I take, I receive something, whereas accept comes from the root word exception. So when we take exception to something, it is different, it is separate, it doesn't follow the pattern, it doesn't follow the rules, so it doesn't fit in with the main or the norm. So accept is something that doesn't fit in, it doesn't follow the rules, and it wouldn't quite work in this situation. So well done to you, those of you who got that. So let's just have a little bit of a chat. We are now on week 37 and we are starting a new term. This term is going to sort of ramp up into sort of more revision and exam mode. So before, we haven't had as many opportunities to sit exams as perhaps we would have liked. So we are going to be sort of moving forward and revising all of those sorts of key topics and the key skills that you need to know ready for your reading and your writing exams. So our lessons moving forward will have a theme, a topic that we're going to talk about, and there will be reading and writing activities linked to that theme or that topic to help you practice some of those essential skills. And obviously, depending on what exams you've passed, as you move forward, you'll focus on different areas. I will just highlight, though, that the next 2 weeks, so not this week, but week 38 and week 39, so the next 2 weeks are not on Zoom, they are not online lessons, they are in fact face-to-face speaking and listening exams. So please double check your student portal timetable for the room and time that you are required to attend. They are on site, so you will have to attend at college. Okay, and if you've got any questions or any queries, please contact your tutor via Learn or via email as soon as possible. So, once you've got those 2 weeks done and out the way for the speaking and listening, we are going to move forward and start working on the reading and the writing skills again, moving forward to some exams. This week, we're going to do something very similar. We're going to look at the topic of sort of alcohol and underage drinking. And again, we're going to work on some of the writing skills this week. There are some reading tasks if anyone has, in fact, finished their writing exam and passed it. But we'll look at those in just a moment. So there is a starter task. Again, this is connected to the homophones, those words that sound similar, but we use them in different situations that we just looked at in the 5 a day. So if you click the link here, either in the PowerPoint, it won't work on the video, but in the PowerPoint, or it is directly in the Learn folder, I will show you in a moment. Click on that activity. It will take you through to a website called Wordwall, where you can just practice a few sort of more different ones, perhaps that you wouldn't necessarily encounter every single day. It'll get you practicing and thinking about that. So our plan of action for today, we've already practiced recognising those correct homophones. The writers, those in the group that need to focus on writing, we're going to practice separating and developing our points in our writing, particularly sort of using those paragraphs. And readers, if you're going to tackle the reading task, you're going to focus on and look at fact and opinion and make sure that you can recognise and tell the difference between facts and opinions in writing. So our theme for today is all about sort of alcohol awareness and underage drinking. And at this point in the main lessons, we would in fact have a group discussion about this topic, but I'm just going to introduce you to some facts now to get you started. So only a few years ago, in 2018, a study was conducted in England, interviewing a range of 11 to 15-year-olds, and it was found that 2/5 of that group, so nearly 50% there, 2/5 of that group had been drinking alcohol. And they also sort of noted that from that age of 11, it wasn't as high. So it was only around 14% with the 11-year-olds, but it increased dramatically. It got much, much higher, the amount of 15-year-olds. So as it moved up in age, the amount of students and young people that had been drinking, it had increased significantly. Couple of facts. So the sale of alcohol in the UK is from the age of 18 and above. But if you look under the age of 25, shops are required to ID you. So if you don't have ID, they can't sell you alcohol. Otherwise, they will lose their license, they could be fined or even shut down. However, it does happen. Younger people do find ways of accessing alcohol. And this lesson isn't about your personal experiences, but you've probably got some perceptions, you've probably got some opinions and an awareness of, even if it's not yourself, but people around you, perhaps in your peer group, who will have had a drink here or there. There might be some that have drunk once or twice, there might be some that drink regularly. We just don't know, because the laws are slightly different around drinking on private premises and under the age of 18 and with parental consent. So it is slightly different. So there are ways of younger people accessing alcohol. But alcohol can have a massive impact on your body and how it develops. And what you've got to remember is, as a teenager, your body hasn't finished developing yet. So some of those really important organs like your liver, your kidneys, your brain, they don't actually stop developing until you're in your early 20s. So whilst the occasional amount of alcohol may not have a massive effect on your body and your development, regular and heavy drinking, so alcohol abuse, can have a huge impact on how your body develops. So it can cause long-term health problems, to be perfectly honest. So there are reasons for having that age of sale at 18 years old. Some people believe that at 18, young people are much more mature, they're able to make their own choices, they're able to be more responsible about what they do and don't do, about their own behaviour and how much alcohol they will or won't consume. And some people might argue the other way and say that, slightly younger is more responsible. So at age sort of 16 or 17, you could argue that people are becoming more adult. But other people might counter that and disagree. They might say that no, you're not quite mature enough. Sit for a moment, have a think about your opinion. Okay, how do you feel about underage drinking? Is this an issue in our society, a problem, or is it something that's actually okay, it's socially acceptable? And I want you to think about that legal drinking age of 18. Is that a good age? Should it be higher? Should it be lower? Take a moment to think about your opinions on this topic and note them down, because we're going to use them in a little while. So at this point, those of you that have passed your writing exam, I would suggest you pause the video and start looking at the reading tasks that have been set for you on this topic, practicing the exam style questions. Whereas those of you who have not passed your writing exam, stick with me. We're going to have a little bit of a recap now on paragraphs before we come back to the sort of opinions about underage drinking. So just to recap for you, a paragraph is a group of sentences about the same point, topic, or idea. Keyword there is group. A sentence on its own is not a paragraph. Okay, so for something to be a group, it has got to be more than one, hasn't it? And it's the same in your writing. To make a proper paragraph, it's got to be more than one sentence long. Now, in secondary school, a lot of teachers, when they're sort of helping you to structure your answers to a text, they might say you have to write a set number of sentences to create a paragraph, like 3 or 5. In functional skills, it is slightly different. It's not the case. You can be more flexible, but as I said, it has still got to be more than one sentence long. So it's got to be at least 2 sentences long to be considered a proper paragraph. And when we want to start a new point or a new idea, we finish our old paragraph and we start a new one. And the way that we show that in terms of layout on the page, we leave a couple of lines. So we come down a line, we leave a blank space, come down again, one more line, and that's where we start our new paragraph. Some people have been taught to indent, which is where we come in from the side of the page a little bit. And we tend to do that when we are handwriting rather than typing. You can do either, but we need to just make it very, very clear to anybody that's reading our text, such as an examiner, that we have finished that paragraph and we've started a new one. So a line sort of gap is a very good, clear way of doing that. But if not, the indent is also acceptable. You wouldn't be penalised for which one you use. So when we're thinking about a paragraph on its own, I know this is going to sound silly, but I want you to think of a burger or a sandwich. So as we begin our paragraph, our first sentence is very much like the top part, the bun of a burger. It kicks things off, it's the start, and it introduces the point or idea that we're going to talk about. As we move through the paragraph, the sort of middle sentences, if you like, that's where we go further. Okay, so if we think of that burger, things like the salad, the burger, the cheese, that extra detail is the good bit. That's where it goes further. We get more explanation. We understand a little bit more what the writer was talking about in that first sentence. And then the last sentence that we use in our paragraph kind of finishes off, it concludes what we want to say about that point or that topic that we're talking about. And like a burger bun, it kind of finishes it off. So again, think of it this way. We're trying to keep our point or idea all together in one place. We don't want it to go everywhere, all over the page. We don't want our text and our ideas to get all blurred into different paragraphs. We want to keep them separate into their own individual points. And again, that first sentence and last sentence of a paragraph, they work like the burger bun. They keep that point together. Okay? If we didn't have the burger bun, the burger and the bits in the middle would just go everywhere, all over the page. And again, with our writing, if we don't have those sorts of sentences, the introductory and the concluding sentence, the first and last one in our paragraph, it won't keep the paragraph together. So we want to try and keep that idea all together in one sort of burger chunk, if that makes sense. So let's have a look at an example, see if this can sort of help you to put it into practice. So my first sentence, I enjoy going to college for so many reasons. Kind of gives you a hint as to what this paragraph is going to talk about, but it doesn't go into lots of detail. My next sentence, the middle bit, does. It goes into more detail. It gives us more information. In fact, it gives us some of those reasons we were told about in the first sentence. I like the course I am studying and I have made some good friends. Last but not least, we're going to finish off what we want to say before we move on to something else. So although the work can be hard, it will be worth it in the end. So it keeps it all together in one nice chunk. Only 3 sentences, but that's still a well-structured paragraph. Now, the issue that a lot of us have, particularly my students, we've come across, is that they can get the first sentence going, they can start the point, and then they're just not sure how to build it up, how to extend it any further. So if we look at the example from that paragraph, the first sentence, I enjoy going to college for so many reasons. Okay, what else can I say? What else can I do? And if you're stuck, there are actually quite a few different options you could follow. So I'm not saying you've got to memorize the following, but it's just to give you some suggestions, to give you some ideas of what you could potentially do. So number 1, you could give examples and reasons, just like we saw in the previous one. You could give an opinion. You could use a language technique such as a statistic. So sharing facts or statistics can make your writing very informative. We could compare it to something else. We could talk about the negatives, so if there are any bad parts or consequences linked to what we're talking about. And we could get very descriptive, so we could use sensory language if we really wanted to. I could talk about how something looks, how something sounds, how it feels, how it smells, etc. So we could go sort of overboard on the details if we wanted to. So now it is your turn. We're going to take these ideas of separating and building the paragraphs, and we're going to use that in our own writing. So we've got a writing task here. Background information. Following recent research showing increases in underage drinking taking place in the UK, the Home Office are considering raising the legal drinking age to 21. Your task, write to Mr. Troy Clayton, and you've got his address there, giving him your views on this proposal. So you might agree that it should be raised to 21. You might disagree and say that it should stay the same at 18, or you might disagree and say it should be lowered. So as with any exam task, you've got some bullet points of the things that you could talk about. You should talk about whether you agree or disagree with the proposal to raise the legal drinking age to 21. Give detailed reasons for your views, and for level 1s and 2s, make sure you try and use some persuasive language to convince your reader to agree with you. So things like rhetorical questions, facts and statistics, flattery, emotive language, rule of 3, repetition. All of those language techniques that we've talked about so many times before can really help you here to convince your reader to agree with you. If it helps, you can also sort of make a little plan of what you would like to talk about in paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3 of your letter. You've got a little checklist there to help you. So once you have written your task, go back through, proofread, use those 4 points to help you double check and make sure you've got all the things that you need in there. And then at the end, once you have finished writing your letter, you've got 2 different activities there. One is for those that are focusing on writing and one that is focusing on reading. So I'll just show you where they are, in fact. Okay, so in your Learn folder, this link here is the starter activity for the homophones. Those that have been doing the writing, this is the finishing task, finishing quiz on paragraphs. And those that have been doing the reading, this is the finishing task, the strong finish task on fact and opinion for the readers. So up here, you've got the folders that you've already gone into. And when you open it up, this is the writing task. Okay, so you've got your bullet points there, hints and tips to help you, a guide of how much to write for your level. And you've even got boxes there to help you set up your letter in the right way, because I know we haven't looked at letter layout for a few weeks. So it's there to help you. So input your writing and information into that text. Those of you that are focusing on the reading, you open up the reading task. It's this article here. So raise the drinking age to 21, says think tank. Read it through carefully. And underneath are some questions for you to answer. Again, just input it straight into the document for me. When you're done, guys, remember, have a go at this strong finish activity for us as well. Any reading or writing tasks that you have done, remember to save them and then email them to your tutor. And of course, if you guys have got any questions about the speaking and listening exams that are coming up or about the tasks for this week, contact your tutor via Learn or via email. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.